Good morning, Aunty Barb. You know me, Donna Ingram. I'm a Wiradjuri woman and doing this interview today for Hurstville Museum Galleries. So, just to get started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? You know, what's your name and how are you connected to the Georges River area?
Yes, Donna, good afternoon to you all, and I do know you, and we've been friends for many, many years through your family, and great women on your side, great matriarchal women. Myself, I'm Barb Simms. I'm from La Perouse Mission, born in Gweagal land in Sydney in 1948. I'm a Bidjigal woman, Gweagal, born on country. Gweagal, connecting to the Kurnell people through my father, and it'd be remiss of me not to mention my mother's country, a Wandi Wandi woman from the Yuin Nation, South Coast. Both my parents born on missions, Roseby Park Mission and La Perouse Mission. And my connections through the Georges River area, it's through my father with his travels up there, with his uncles getting their mangrove knees to make their boomerangs. And not only that, I've gone up there, I've done bush tucker medicine up through there.
And when you say knees, that's
I'll explain the knees, Donna. I've got my leg bent. So from your thigh down to your part of your bottom leg, all this is called a knee. One good mangrove knee gets 5 boomerangs. So our men would get the knees. They'd probably get about 4 knees and what would fit in a sugar bag, the old Asian bag, and what they didn't get, they went back the next day to retrieve. So they went up there up the river, Georges River, and over that area where you're talking about, even as far as Homebush Bay. And that is men's business, and they would make the boomerangs for them.
I think that's just an important to understand. I didn't fully understand it when I first said it, but it's an important part of that history.
Yep.
So how do you feel about the country? What memories do you have?
Lots of memories. I think travelling up there, back in the day, you had the little rowboats that would go up there, and we streamlined later years and gone up there on some of the boats that are over, or the ferries that are over near the Cooks River and the Cooks River Bridge. They have tours that go up there. We've taken clients up there through aged care. The scenery is incredible. And you can reminisce about it, what was there that is not there today. You look at all this, say, I remember that. I remember being here. I remember being a little girl and coming through here. And it's just great to reminisce and see things past tense that are brought into present tense.
Yeah, as I told you, I used to live in the area, and I remember the punt at Lugano that used to cross over to the other side, and that brings back a lot of good memories as well.
Yes.
So, what does country mean to you? You know, the land, the water, and the people.
Country means everything to me. We don't own the land owns us. We are part of Mother Nature's land. It's her land. We've got to nurture her, sustain her. We look after her, she'll look after us. Sustainability with land is everything. And country, and we go back to country when we pass away, we've gone back to country. So it's so important to look after land and nurture it. And there's so much that she will give to us. Yeah.
And what do you love about this area? Like, you know, what speaks to you most? You've been involved with the council for
I think the generosity within council itself, the people that work within council, and there's no ownership. People are willing to share. And it's good when you can sit down and talk to people and agree to disagree or agree to agree. So, yeah, I've been involved here for a long, long time, and it's what I put into it, you get out of it. If you want to go into something gung-ho, so they'll treat you on a different level, but you've got to be nice. If you want to be nice, you get all the niceties back to you. And that's what I believe. Be nice, it will come back to you tenfold.
And what about the area itself? What do you love about it?
I've seen the area change dramatically. The influx now with the Chinese community in here, it wasn't such before. Migration's been really growing, and when you look at other cultures, I came in, I did a citizenship welcome. I couldn't believe the amount of people from the Indian background. It was amazing. But this council, there are 2 councils that I really love. This is one, and Randwick, but this says something, so much about it. The people within it, you come through their doors, you're greeted in such a friendly manner, and the warmth, the generosity is great.
So it's very multicultural.
Very multicultural, and I do believe personally it's going to grow bigger and bigger, and I think they'll need to expand, but This is such a great council, great community, a great place to work. If you've got a business over here, oh, it's just unfolding everywhere.
But still acknowledging the Aboriginal.
We'll always have a contents of Aboriginal people. We'll always have our people over here. When we look at the Bidjigal people or the Gweagal people, we look at those, it'll always be that giving a sensibility and pride of ownership.
And can you tell us about any particular memories or stories that have been passed down through your family or your community about this place?
Well, my dad used to talk about coming over here and going up the river. We'd even got oysters up the river, and I was privileged enough to take a group of people from Gweagal Aboriginal Corporation up there, and my friend's got a dive boat. We went on that, we had a barbecue, and reminiscing as you go along the river. I remember that being there. I remember having parties on the other side of the Cooks River Bridge and Tom Ugley's Bridge when the old football days, and you can reminisce about all that. It's like yesterday, just you're opening a page to every different part of it, and it's a big book in our life.
Yeah, and a part of, just me participating in this project brings back memories of going to the Georges River when we were kids and having barbecue, especially in summer. Mum and Dad would take us down for dinner and we'd be able to have a swim. So, it's brought back memories for me as well.
I look, when we were kids coming from La Perouse, we were going to Nowra, and you'd get the old paper train at night. So that's the only way you can get to Nowra back in those days. And it left 2 o'clock in the morning at Central. We'd get to Bomaderry Station at 9 o'clock next morning. But coming across the Como Bridge and Janali, look at all that, because I had cousins that lived at Janali, so you're coming across that railway bridge and think, I remember all this as a little girl, 8-year-old, coming through here to where I am today. And it hasn't changed a great deal in memory-wise, but the influx of people coming in there, there's just abundance of different cultures and nationalities coming through there.
Fantastic, thank you. So what do you think people don't know or they might get wrong about the area and the Aboriginal history?
They don't know the true history of our people. They think it's hidden. We weren't lost to be found. We've always been there. We'll continue to be there, thrive and flourish. But we need to share our country a lot more, to open ourselves and say, come sit with me, come break bread with me, come and sit down, have a picnic with me, we can share. And at the same time, I'm learning about them. So it's a two-way street for me. I see all that. Sharing is everything. And we've got to give it away to keep it.
I think that's true of not just this area, but, across Australia.
I think across Australia, across the Sydney Basin, where we travel down the south coast of my mother's people, it's that sense of sharing and the identity of us.
Yeah. So how do you feel about the changes that you've seen to the area at the time?
My God, I could go back and say, I remember this back in the old day. I remember driving around. You'd come to Hurstville, and I've got to say, I'd love to come over to the second-hand shops. I'm a second-hand shopper. I love my op shops. And I pointed out the street that runs around the back here, comes through the town. You don't do that anymore. When I come to council, you're coming down the bottom of Westfields and you're coming up, so that has changed. And you're crossing the road, it's just a migration of Chinese people here. And some will wave to you, some will nod to you, so that makes you feel good. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember coming here the first time on the train and remembering Westfield and when I used to go there as a teenager.
Yep.
And how it's changed.
How much has changed? It's just changed dramatically.
Yeah. So what messages would you like to share with visitors to the community, or future generations, people coming here to look at, to see this new exhibition?
Have an open mind when you come in to see it and think where you are. Where have you travelled from to be where you are? And it's a beautiful museum. They have great exhibitions, and I've seen a lot of their exhibitions. You can look into the exhibition and really put yourself a part of it. There's nothing I can't say I dislike about it. Nothing. No, I'd be really rocking them in if I said that. There's nothing I don't like. I love everything about it. The people, especially. They make you feel at home. They're welcoming. They're gracious people. The whole of this council is gracious.
And I think, we talked in the workshop today about truth-telling and how important it is for people to understand the true history of this country so we can move forward together.
We need to walk together, and we need to let them know, you know, it's not like it was back in the day. It's different now. We've moved forward a lot. But don't take away the past. It's the past that owns us. I am owned by the past. I'll always have the past in me. I'm connected to my land. And this is my father's country, so I've got to remember that as well. And I look at my mother coming to live. She was a visitor coming to my father's land, and how she embraced it. And then when he would go down the coast, but this is something special. We're not that far from La Perouse, from the mission. You only got the Georges River, the Cooks River, they get you up here. But it's abundance with wildlife, estuaries that flow off them a little bit. And I say the mangrove jungle, it is. It's a mangrove jungle. Lots of picnic areas, lots of chains, lots of big homes built along the riverside. Yeah, I've got some friends that live up the riverside, and the extremity of it all. My God, it's just fascinating.
Really, thank you. So, Aunty Barb, where did you grow up? And can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yes, Donna, I can. I'm a mission kid. I'm a mission kid from Lapra Mission. It was a reserve, but we're mission kids. I was born in 1948, which makes me today, I'm 77, 78 next February. I'm one of a family of 10, 5 boys, 5 girls, great cultural parents. My mother's a cultural woman from Rosebery Park Mission. Married my dad down at Nowra and came through to Sydney to live on his land. My dad was the first intaken as a stolen generation when his mother died. He was born in 1912. 3 years later, his mother died, and she was a Cowra woman, a Wiradjuri woman, and it's been fascinating learning about all her family, our connections now. It's just wonderful. Living on the mission, you lived under the mission manager, the welfare in Sydney, the local policeman, the local welfare came out. The manager was Mr. Jeffries. In my lifetime, there were 3 managers. Early days, Mr. Jinks, then Mr. Jeffries, then Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones was very casual and easy going, very casual. Taken away from the mission as a stolen gen when our mother had a heart attack. We were taken up past 8 in the morning, went to Albion Street Court, charged with neglect, and then separated from our brothers. They went to Ralston, the 3 of them. Ruth and I went to Bidjigal. I remember so vividly feeding this little baby. I was 8. I had no idea what to do. I changed the nappy, and I smelled my fingers many times. The mess was under my nails. It was between my fingers. I can always smell it, always. And then when I had my own children, I said, I smelt this smell before. I smelt this. Sharing a bed that wasn't your bed. Bathing with other girls in a bathtub, 3 other girls. You'd never done this at home. So living on a mission was so different than living off the mission. They never had a mission manager off the mission. The Curries, only on the mission. Your mail was open before you got it. The manager opened your mail before you got it. You steamed it open. We had Edelweiss check days once a fortnight. We had worm tablets done once a fortnight. Called home from school to take your tablets. It was embarrassing. You mission kids need to go home and take your worm tablets. And kids were saying, you got worms. Oh, it was degrading. And having your Edelweiss check, have you got mullahs and gungals? No, I don't have them. So they're all the things that was said to you and done living on the mission. We were poor, extremely poor. Our mother was a great nurturer, a great cultural woman. Many times we went to a place called Pussycat up near Cape Banks, and we went there for cultural sustainability. My mother was a great fisherwoman, a rock woman. My father was a part of the artefact making with his uncles. She would pack the esky the night before, a cardboard box. Didn't know what an esky was like back in them days. She would make the damper the night before. We had golden syrup that would go in the box. And what you would call abalone, we call mutton fish. So she'd be around the rocks at Pussycat, getting the mutton fish. We'd have to clean them on the rocks, cut them out of the shell, make sure the shells went back into the water. We had mutton fish we cooked out there. She'd make that. We knew that night we were going to have mutton fish and onion gravy, mashed potato. So on the mission was very poor. We lived poor. I left the mission to get a job when I was about 15. I got an exemption. I went to the welfare in town. My paper was stamped disease-free. I presented this paper when I was at Blythe Steel Wool. I presented it. And they said, "What was wrong with you?" I said, "Nothing." "Well, disease-free." I said, "There was nothing wrong with me." I was on a knitting machine. They cleaned the pots. They got the gold ones, they got the silver one. They cleaned the pots, old metal ones. I was on a plastic knitting machine. They undone the bolts. They moved the knitting machine away, so I was by myself. I sat by myself at lunchtime. I sat by myself at morning tea. I was seen as diseased. They're all the things I'd gone through. I overcome all that. I've entered politics. I was the only Aboriginal woman ever to stand on an independent ticket for Randwick City Council. I was Deputy Chair of the New South Wales ACT Stolen Generations Council. I went to university as a 40-year-old student, do teacher training. My family have all succeeded. My brother was one of the greatest entertainers, Vic Simms. Started singing when he was 9. Getting permission from the mission manager, the welfare, the local policeman to leave, to sing with Cold Joy, Little Paddy, Judy Stone. They'd come to our house down the mission, to our old Fibre place. Before that we lived in a tin shack up near the turnaround, up to the tram line. We lived in a couple of places, but I knew the mission Fibre place down near the beach more than anything. And I think just being a part of that era, it makes you really aware of who you are. I played sport. I was state wicket keeper in an old sport called Cricko, like Cricket Day. Vigoro, represented in Tasmania. I was goal shooter with netball. I've been involved in many politics. I raised money for the Stolen Generations. I raised over 90,000 for breast cancer, having the breast cancer van come to La Perouse. I challenged the system, and the breast cancer van never come to Lapa to go to Maroubra to go to Redfern. That took me 3.5 years. And I worked with a great English woman called Lisa Marrison. And I said, "Walk with me." I said, "You be Martin Luther King and I'll be Nelson Mandela." I said, "We can pull this off." We did, we pulled it off. 10 years later, down the track, we raised 90,000 for research for breast cancer. 2015, I took my right breast. 2019, I lost my left breast. I have 4 tumours today as I sit in front of you. I wear glasses, I'm not blind. I walk with a limp, I'm not crippled. I'm determined, I'm in tune. I'm involved with many organisations. I sit on the advisory at Georges River. I'm a part of Bayside Council's rep as well, so I choose to be involved. Am I angry and bitter? No. Whatever life throws at you, you say, "I can do it. I can deal with it." And I do challenge the challenges. I'm outspoken in many ways, but I'll never bag you. I'll never put you down. So think of it, I could be your friend. So walk with me, talk with me.
It's beautiful, Aunty Barb, and that's what keeps me going, I guess, is remembering the strength and resilience of people like yourself, and as you said, my aunties that went through the hard times, but
Yes.
came out, stronger and fiercer.
I worked with one of your aunties, Aunty Mill, great woman, a great advocator and a great advocate. I have 5 children, 4 girls and a boy. I have 19 grandchildren, 8 grandchildren. I've looked after 15 foster kids. My children had to share with other kids with no relation to them. So one of my foster boys and girl was in my classroom when I was teaching, and I said, while I'm in this classroom, you'll address me as Miss. When I leave here, you address me as Mum. But don't think you can't get into trouble because you can. So you be nice in class, be nice. Yeah, so look, and I do charity in Bali. I support breast cancer in Bali. I support the orphanage in Bali. I cook for homeless men today. I bought blankets and doonas for the homeless men up at Randwick. So when I do talks, I get these vouchers. I spend it on people. And I often get drunk. "Why are you giving it away?" I said, "You've got to give it away to keep it." I'm happy. I've got food in my cupboard. I've got a fridge with food, I've got a comfortable bed, I've got a front and backyard, I've got a car to get into. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy in life.
Thank you. So, Aunty Barb, can you tell us, in the workshop the other week, you talked about the Chinese farmers out at La Perouse and how, the community interacted with them. Can you tell us a bit
You
more?
can, Donna. Living out at La Perouse on the mission, work was scarce and nobody wanted to employ Aboriginal men. And a lot of those men had done it tough, really tough in looking after their families. There was one group of people that employed our Aboriginal men, and that was a Chinese market garden down at near the cemetery. They had market gardens on both sides of Butterong Road. And they would work all day for 10 bob a dollar. When you think about it, what a dollar could brought you back in the day, what 10 bob could buy you. Say you got a 10 bob note, and we look at today, equal to a dollar. So our men went and worked all day down there, and they were really looked after by them. Before any builders, workers, labour trades, anything got them on board, it was the Chinese market gardeners. And then I look over at Hurstville, our communities is all Chinese owned and Chinese operated over here, and it's just flourishing. Yeah, so I look back at all that, what we had and what we don't have today, and those men that worked in the gardens all day.
But those relationships that
They were
way back then.
sustained and maintained great relationships, yes, with the Chinese people.
Thank you.
I have one little pickup. It's just one line. It's just, first Indigenous person on the Randwick City Council.
I was privileged to run on an independent ticket. My good friend Noel D'Souza, he said, Aunty Barb, can I put you on my ticket? I said, yeah, why not? An independent ticket. And it was for Randwick City Council. Campaigning was different. I campaigned down in, of all places, down near Waverley, Clovelly, and it wasn't my area. And the questions that people asked me, I thought to myself, go home, get a life and come back and talk to me. The most silliest questions about the running of the sewer. Where does it run to? Well, a lot of it goes to the ocean. But what would you do about it? I said, if I had to come through it, I don't mean the sewer, come through that questioning, and I'll tell you exactly how I feel and what should happen. I think just to be a part of that, it says who we are as a people, and being privileged to be a part of that council. And look, I go up there many times and do talks up there, and I address council, I do, and they're just really beautiful people. I'm involved in Bayside Council. I'm involved in this council here. I just like being involved.
So before we finish up, Aunty Barb, are there any other stories that you'd like to tell us about?
Yes, I can. I've come from the mission again, so lots of things happen on the mission when you're growing up. Building cubby houses. So you're in the bush and you flatten it all down, and you look for old scrap tin and put your wall around and build inside. Or you can cover it over with lantana. Little things like that. And making things. I was great at making things and having girlfriends, but friends, I remember walking home from a girl with school one day, really bad. And I was dying to go to the toilet. And I get to her place, and she said to her mother, Mum, can Barbara use our toilet? She said, no, let her go down and use her own toilet. But it was worse than what she said to me, but I won't say it. I'd never forgotten that. I thought, I'm as good as anybody. In fact, I think I'm better than you. But it makes you stop and think what life throws at you. And when you go through all these adversities and you're a poor kid coming from a mission to where you are today. I've got many stories. I work with architects. I do design. I storytell. I paint. I'm involved in politics. I've challenged prime ministers. I've got to say, yes, I have. And I think one of my greatest prime ministers of all time is the one we got today, to what he's done for us. And Kevin Rudd, been in Canberra with the apology. Out of all the prime ministers we had, he had the stamina, the gumption to stand before Parliament and apologise to the Australian people, to Parliament, and say, I'm sorry for what had happened. The great speech in Redfern Park with Paul Keating. These are events you'll never forget. They will live with you. They're lasting. And that day in Canberra, I took 2 Aboriginal women from La Perouse. I was involved with the Stolen Generations Alliance. And a beautiful old Aboriginal lady, she was blind, or near blind, Mary her name was. She said, Aunty Barb, we're going to Canberra. I said, we don't have money. She said, we'll get the money. We did. We went to Canberra. Aunty Norma and Aunty Bib, 2 sisters, we both passed. We took them to Canberra. Yvonne, myself, Darling looked after Aunty Bib. We get to Mascot. They never left the mission before in their lives. Never been on a plane, mind you. We went to Canberra. We were accommodated. We were in the big line that morning to meet the Prime Minister. We were sitting in the gallery. I'm looking straight at the Prime Minister when he delivered his speech to the Australian people. He's sorry. And I thought to the 2 ladies, I said, we did it, didn't we? They said, Barb, you did it. You pulled it off. I said, I told you we would. The little things like that resonate with you. Both these women are not here anymore. Aunty Norma just died recently. Aunty Bib died some time ago, and everybody at Lapa had a nickname. Aunty Bib was Aunty Jean. Aunty Norma's nickname was Squeaker. Why? I don't know, probably Squeaker. All those sisters, there were 9 sisters, 1 brother, and they're all passed. But giving to someone, and you say there's no return, but how you give, and you've got to be able to give. So that was a really remarkable time going to Canberra. My sister Margie was with me, Yvonne, Darlene, the 2 women, and we went to Canberra in the gallery.
Your sister wrote a book just recently.
And my sister Ruth, yes, she just wrote a book.
That was
Based on our mutton fish, a place called Pussycat, and she called it Mutton Fish. I can't think if it's Mutton Fish Dreamy, but it's a book about mutton fish and what you would call today abalone, how you clean them, how you get them, and you don't catch them. You've got to get them off the rock because on the rocks they cling very tight on the rock. You've got to pry them off. All that is black on the outside, you've got to be able to clean it off in the running sea water, clean it and cut it out of the shell. You've got to soften it. So you put it in a nice clean cloth and you bash it up, soften it, roll it in plain flour and fry it. You could smell the smell wafting. I could smell it. It wafts. So our mother, the fisherwoman, and then Ruth wrote about her. We'd have to stay behind. Have you ever been to a place called Pussycat?
No.
It's near the golf links, New South Wales golf links, near Cape Banks and a little inlet. And people always say to me, is it cat's house? I said, no, it's just called Pussycat. You come through the tall grass, the bush, and my mother would take the lead. She'd have a big long stick and she'd beat on both sides. What are you doing that, Mum? If there's snakes there, they hear the sound, they move. Oh, she was so wise.
Just looked it up, mutton fish magic.
That's it, mutton fish magic. And we'd be going through the bush. One of the boys would carry a pipe. The pipe was to put it in the earth to get the running water come through, fresh water. She knew how to do that even. She was a marvel. Going down the rocks part, we had our, like a fridge tray. We cooked on that. Myself and Margie, one of my elder brothers stayed back behind while my mother and the elder brother went round the rocks, around the headland. We get the fire ready. You get all the rocks put in a circle. Get all the wood. All these days we don't have anymore, but the reminiscing of her, what she'd done and showed me, it'll live with me forever. And I was fortunate to be called after her, Barbara, and the name means little helper. So thank you, Mum, for my name. I gave one of my twins the same name, Barbara. So both my twins are called after their grandmothers, one in English, one Irene, from Lee, Lancashire, and my Barbara, but part of my 5 children. So I am blessed culturally. I'm immersed in culture. I will live with culture and I will pass in culture. Thank you. And to the beautiful people around me, thank you.
I hope you get a copy of that book.
You need to get it.
It's resources like that that help educate the wider community about
It is.
history and culture and those memories
Yes.
that are so important and why we need to keep passing those on. So really appreciate your time today, Aunty Barb. And
Thank you,
it's
Donna.
always special listening to your stories and your memories and to be in your presence. So
Have a look at another video with Dean Kelly and I done mutton fish dreaming. We've done that. It's with Parks and Wildlife. And we cleaned the mutton fish on the rocks when we got them, my brother and I. So that comes back to our mothers teaching us and respecting her. That's her dreaming.
And I think the more we learn, the more we need. It shows how much more we need to learn.
Yes, I want to do more now, learning where my grandmother come from, my father's mother, so that Wiradjuri woman. So I need to talk to your families a lot more too. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
I love that conversation. Thanks
Yes,
again, Aunty Barb.
thank you.
Thank Donna, thank you so much for that. Aunty Barb's going to give a welcome to country that we have on video.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah. You happy to do a welcome
Yes.
to country?
Now?
Yeah.
Well, hello to you all, my beautiful friends out there. So, firstly, can I acknowledge country? We're on the land of the Bidjigal people. My connecting neighbours are the Gweagal people of Kurnell. If I'm looking into the city, you've got the Gadigal people. To my west, you've got the Cobble people of Liverpool. All my connections through my dad. So from our elders, past, present and emerging, I welcome you. I welcome you to this beautiful land here. This is a place of dreaming. It's so much that it can give you, how we give back to each other. And to all my non-Aboriginal brothers and sisters here, you are welcome, you are embraced, and we walk together in unity and in harmony. What we own, we share. What we take, we give. So thank you, each and every one of you, for being a part of our lives and sharing our culture, our country, our warmth and our generosity. Thank you.